Eric Winters stood tall in the Grand Council chamber. His blue uniform looked small against the huge alien seats that rose up around him. The air felt cold. 50 different alien species watched him from their high places. None of them looked friendly. High Chancellor Zyrax, a tall being with gray skin and 4 arms, spoke in a deep voice that filled the room. The Council has reached its decision. Earth and all human colonies are hereby expelled from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. Eric did not show surprise. He had expected this. The Council had been looking for reasons to kick humans out for years. They said it was because humans were too aggressive, too quick to build weapons. But Eric knew the real reason. Humans were learning and growing too fast. In just 20 years, humans had spread to 12 star systems. No other species had ever moved so quickly. We accept your decision, Eric said, his voice steady. But know this. Humanity will continue to grow and explore. That is our nature. Some aliens whispered at his words. They were not used to species, who accepted punishment without begging. Eric turned and walked out with the 5 other humans of his team. None of them spoke until they were back on their ship. Lieutenant Sofia Garcia slammed her fist against the wall once the doors closed. Those stuck-up space lizards. They've been planning this from the start. Of course they have, Eric said. They're afraid of us. We solve problems in days that took them centuries. Captain Olivia Bennett entered the bridge of their ship, the HFY Diplomat. She was 45 with short black hair streaked with gray. 20 years in space had made her tough. Message from Earth, she said. President Ross wants us back immediately. All human ships are being called home. Eric nodded. They've made a mistake, Olivia. They think cutting us off will slow us down. It will do the opposite, she replied, ordering her crew to prepare for departure. As the HFY Diplomat pulled away from the massive council station orbiting Proxima Centauri, Eric watched the structure grow smaller through the viewing window. The station had been built by the Alteri, a species that had been exploring space when humans were still figuring out farming. Yet in just 2 decades of space travel, humans had already improved on many of their designs. Set course for Earth, Captain Bennett ordered. Maximum speed. The journey would take 3 days. Eric used that time to prepare his report. The Council had given them many reasons for the expulsion. Humans expanded too quickly. They modified their bodies with technology. They adapted alien tech in ways the original makers never intended. But all those reasons hid the simple truth. The older species were scared of how quickly humans learned. When they reached Earth orbit, Admiral Frank Calloway was waiting for them at Lunar Command. The base was carved into the moon's surface, a sprawling complex that served as humanity's military headquarters. Frank was a large man with a shaved head and a beard that was more white than brown. He had been among the first humans to make contact with the Council 15 years ago. How bad is it, he asked as soon as Eric entered his office. Exactly as we predicted, Eric replied. Complete expulsion. We have 30 days to remove all personnel from Council space. Frank didn't look surprised. President Ross has called an emergency meeting. The top military and science leaders will be there. 2 hours later, they gathered in the underground conference room. President Diana Ross sat at the head of the table. She was in her 3rd term, the most popular president in decades. Her calm leadership during first contact had won her the respect of billions. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, today the Galactic Council has shown their true feelings about humanity. They fear us, they fear what we might become. Around the table sat the people who would shape humanity's response. Admiral Calloway and his top officers, Dr. Nathan Parker, whose new engine design had revolutionized space travel, Dr. Linda Hayes, who had decoded the alien medical database that allowed humans to extend their lifespan by 30 years, General Stanley Morris, who commanded Earth's defense forces. The Council has ordered all our people out of their space. President Ross continued, all trade deals are canceled. All technology sharing programs ended. They believe this will contain us. Dr. Parker spoke up. He was a thin man with round glasses and messy brown hair. They're wrong. My team has already improved the jump drive design we got from them. Our version is 40% more efficient. We don't need their help anymore. My division has been expecting this, said General Morris. We've been stockpiling materials and preparing colony ships. We can accelerate our expansion into the regions beyond Council space. President Ross nodded. Then that's exactly what we'll do. The Council thinks they are punishing us, but they're just removing the chains that have been holding us back. A star map appeared on the large screen behind her. It showed Council territory in blue, Earth colonies in green, and vast, unexplored regions in gray. The Orion Spur, Admiral Calloway said, pointing to a spiral arm of stars. The Council avoids it because of higher radiation levels, but we evolved on a planet with strong radiation. We can handle it. There are thousands of potential colony worlds there, added Dr. Hayes, and resources we haven't even begun to tap. President Ross looked at each person around the table. I'm authorizing Operation Phoenix. We will expand faster and further than ever before. The Council has cast us out, thinking we would beg to return. Instead, we'll build something greater than they could imagine. She stood up, her decision made. Humanity's future is no longer bound to the Council's rules. As of today, we forge our own path. As the meeting ended, Eric found himself standing next to Captain Bennett looking at the star map. You know what's funny? She said quietly. They've studied us for 15 years and still don't understand us at all. Eric nodded. The Council, species reached the stars and then stopped pushing. They found comfort in rules and agreements. They don't understand a species that never stops climbing. They will, she replied. Soon enough they will. 6 months later, the first colonization. Fleet departed Earth orbit, led by Commander Heather Williams aboard the colony ship UES Pioneer. 5 massive vessels carried 20,000 colonists toward the heart of the Orion Spur. It was the largest single expansion in human history. As Eric watched the ships disappear into the jump point, he thought about what Captain Bennett had said. The Council had intended to punish humanity, to isolate them and slow their growth. Instead, they had only freed them from restrictions, and a free humanity was about to show the galaxy what they could really do. 6 months after the expulsion, Commander Heather Williams stood on the bridge of the UES Pioneer. Through the large viewing window, she watched as her crew prepared to land on the planet they had named New Horizon. The world had blue oceans, green lands, and white clouds. It looked a lot like Earth, but no humans had ever set foot on it before. Final checks complete, Commander, said Lieutenant Jack Morris from his station. All systems are ready for landing. Heather nodded. She was 38 years old with short blonde hair and eyes that missed nothing. President Ross had picked her personally to lead this mission because she never failed. Send the message to the fleet, she ordered. We begin landing operations in 1 hour. The UES Pioneer was the first of 5 colony ships that had traveled beyond Council space into the Orion Spur. This region of space had been ignored by the Galactic Council for centuries. They claimed its higher radiation levels and unpredictable star activity made it too dangerous. But humans had evolved on a planet with strong radiation and extreme weather. To them, the Orion Spur felt almost like home. Down in the science lab, Dr. Karen Blackwell studied the readings from the planet's surface. She had spent the entire 6-month journey analyzing data from probe scans. These life forms are amazing, she told her team. They adapt quickly to changes in their environment. They're a lot like Earth species, but even more resilient. Her assistant, Paul Rivers, looked up from his screen. The Council said these worlds were hostile to life. Karen laughed. Not hostile, just challenging. And challenges make life stronger. She pointed to some readings. These plants produce twice the oxygen of similar Earth plants, and these animals have much better radiation resistance. In the engineering section, Greg Martinez worked on the final adjustments to the colony shields. Greg had grown up in Arizona and knew all about living in harsh conditions. The new shield design is holding at 300% better than Council standard, he told his team. We can handle anything this region throws at us. One of his engineers, Lisa Foster, looked impressed. The Council would have paid a fortune for this technology. Their loss, Greg replied with a shrug. They kicked us out, remember? Now we keep our best ideas for ourselves. At exactly noon Earth time, the first shuttle landed on New Horizon. Commander Williams was the first to step onto the surface. The air was thinner than Earth's, but perfectly breathable. The gravity was 90% of Earth normal, making everyone feel a little lighter, a little stronger. Begin unloading the colony modules, Heather ordered. I want the basic structure up before nightfall. 3,000 colonists came down from the ships that day. They were farmers, engineers, doctors, scientists, and soldiers. All had volunteered to build a new home beyond Council reach. By sunset, the first buildings were in place. They used new construction methods developed just for this mission. Walls that unfolded from compact packages, roofs that hardened when exposed to air, technologies the Council had never seen. As darkness fell, Governor Patricia Miller addressed the colonists. She stood on a small platform with the newly planted flag of the Terran Federation behind her. The flag showed Earth in the center with 12 stars around it for the original colonies, plus a circle of new stars that would grow as they expanded. Today we begin a new chapter for humanity, she said. Her voice carried across the silent crowd. The Council believed they were punishing us by casting us out. Instead, they set us free. The colonists cheered. Many had felt restricted by Council rules and regulations. Now they could build, invent, and explore without asking permission. Tomorrow we start building our new home, Patricia continued. But remember, this is just the beginning. New Horizon is the first of many worlds that will form our Federation. Back on the UES Pioneer, Commander Williams received a transmission from Earth. Admiral Calloway's face appeared on the screen. Congratulations on the successful landing, Commander, he said. How does your new world look? Better than the reports suggested, Heather replied. The radiation is well within safe levels with our new shields. The ecosystem is rich and diverse. We can grow food here within 3 months. The Admiral nodded, looking pleased. The President will be happy to hear that. The second wave of colonies is being prepared now. 20 ships, 40,000 colonists. They launch in 3 weeks. Heather's eyes widened. 20 ships? That's more than we expected. After the Council expelled us, thousands more volunteered for the colony program. Calloway explained. People see this as a chance to build something new, something better than what the Council offered. Over the next month, the colony on New Horizon grew quickly. Buildings spread across the valley where they had landed. Farm fields were planted with earth crops, modified to grow in the local soil. Scientists studied the native plants and animals, learning how they coped with the higher radiation. Dr. Karen Blackwell made an important discovery in her lab. The local plants produce a compound that helps protect their cells from radiation damage, she told Governor Miller. We can use this to improve our own radiation medicines. Can we grow it in large amounts? The governor asked. Better than that, Karen replied. We've already figured out how to synthesize it. We can make as much as we need. Greg Martinez and his engineering team built a new type of power plant that used the planet's natural radiation as fuel. It produced twice the energy of standard Council designs while creating almost no waste. 3 months after landing, New Horizon was completely self-sufficient. They no longer needed supplies from Earth. Instead, they were sending resources back home. In her office, Governor Miller reviewed the latest report to be sent to President Ross. Production numbers were higher than projected. The colony population was healthy and growing. 2 babies had already been born on New Horizon, the first humans native to a world beyond Council space. We're ahead of schedule on every metric, she told Commander Williams. The Council thought throwing us out would be our downfall. Instead, it's become the best thing that ever happened to humanity. Heather looked at the night sky through the window. In the distance, she could see the lights of the colony spreading out across the valley. The Council has controlled space for 10,000 years, she said. They've forgotten what it means to truly explore, to face challenges and grow stronger from them. And that's why they'll never understand what we're building here, Patricia replied. They see a harsh frontier. We see opportunity. A communication officer rushed into the room. Governor, Commander, we've detected an unknown ship entering the system. It's not human, and it's not Council design. Commander Heather Williams and Governor Patricia Miller rushed to the colony's control center. Screens showed a ship approaching New Horizon. It was unlike any vessel they had seen before. The ship was long and curved like a crescent moon, with glowing blue lines running along its hull. "Status report," Heather ordered as she entered the room. Captain Ryan Cooper of the UES Pathfinder, a survey ship that patrolled the system, responded through the communication link. "Unknown vessel entered the system 30 minutes ago. It's slowing down and seems to be heading toward us. No aggressive movements detected." "Have they sent any messages?" Governor Miller asked. "Nothing yet," Ryan replied. "But they're definitely scanning us." Heather made a quick decision. "This is what we'll do." Captain Cooper moved the Pathfinder into a position that shows we've noticed them, but aren't threatening them. "I'll take a shuttle up to meet with your ship. Let's see what they want." An hour later, Heather stood on the bridge of the Pathfinder watching as the alien ship moved closer. It was even more impressive up close. The material of its hull seemed to shift colors slightly as it moved, like oil on water. "They're hailing us," announced Communications Officer Samantha Hayes. She was 30 years old with dark brown hair, pulled back in a tight bun. Before being assigned to the Pathfinder, she had specialized in xenolinguistics. "Put them through," Ryan ordered. The main screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. The being had blue-gray skin, large silver eyes, and no visible nose. Instead of hair, it had what looked like soft tendrils that moved slightly on their own. "Greetings, humans," the alien said in surprisingly good English. "We are the Valkyrie. We detect your settlement is new to this region." Heather stepped forward. "I am Commander Heather Williams of the Terran Federation. Yes, we have recently established our colony here. How do you know our language?" The alien made a gesture that might have been a smile. "We are traders. We study many languages. We have observed human ships from distance for some time but never made contact because of Council rules. Now you are here, outside Council space." "You know about the Council?" Ryan asked. "All who travel the stars know of the Council," the Valkyrie replied. "Many avoid them. Their rules are restrictive. We Valkyrie prefer freedom to trade and explore." This was unexpected. The Council had always claimed they represented all advanced species in this part of the galaxy. Yet here was a spacefaring race that had deliberately avoided them. "We would be interested in talking more," Heather said cautiously. "Would you like to send representatives to our colony?" "Yes," the alien agreed. "We will send small shuttle with trade delegation. We bring samples of goods and technologies." 2 hours later, 3 Valkyrie stood in the colony's meeting hall. Their leader introduced himself as Nexar. Up close, the aliens were about the same height as humans but much thinner. They wore what looked like liquid metal suits that shifted and adjusted to their movements. "Your colony grows quickly," Nexar observed, looking at the maps and progress reports displayed on the walls. "Most species take years to establish successful settlements." "We adapt quickly," Governor Miller explained. "It's one of our strengths." "Yes," Nexar agreed. "This is why Council fears humans. They like stability, predictability. Human rapid change makes them uncomfortable." Samantha Hayes had joined them from the Pathfinder to help with communication. "You mentioned your traders. What exactly do you trade?" Nexar gestured, and one of his companions opened a case they had brought. Inside were materials and small devices unlike anything the humans had seen before. "We trade goods, technology, information," Nexar explained. "Valkyrie ships travel to many systems beyond Council space. We know safe routes, resource-rich worlds, other independent species." Heather and Patricia exchanged a look. This meeting could be more valuable than they had imagined. "We might be interested in establishing a trade relationship," Heather said carefully. "But we need to know more about you first." Over the next 3 days, Samantha Hayes led the discussions with the Valkyrie. They learned that the aliens were a nomadic species with hundreds of ships that traveled throughout unclaimed space. They had avoided Council territory for centuries because of what they called excessive regulation of commerce. Council demands 30% tax on all trades, Nexar explained during one meeting. They restrict technology sharing. They require all ship movements to be registered and approved. This is bad for business. Samantha nodded. Humans had faced similar frustrations during their brief time in the Council. What would a partnership with the Terran Federation look like from your perspective? Equal terms, Nexar said immediately. Free exchange of information, mutual defense agreement, trading posts in each other's territories. This was very different from the Council's approach, where older species always held power over newer ones. The Valkyrie were offering a partnership of equals. On the fourth day, Heather sent a secure transmission to Earth, explaining the situation, to Admiral Calloway and President Ross. Their response came quickly. Proceed with caution, but this could be a valuable opportunity. Authorized to establish preliminary trade agreement. When Samantha presented the proposed terms to Nexar, the Valkyrie seemed pleased. These are fair terms, he said. We accept. To show good faith, we offer star charts of regions unknown to humans. The data the Valkyrie shared was incredible. It contained information about thousands of star systems beyond Council space. Many had habitable planets. Some even showed signs of primitive civilizations that the Council had never mentioned. In return, the humans offered designs for their improved radiation shields. The Valkyrie were impressed. This technology is superior to anything we have seen, Nexar admitted. Even Council ships do not have shields this effective. News of the Alliance spread quickly. 2 weeks later, a Council observation ship appeared at the edge of the system. It sent a single message. Any species trading with humans will face Council sanctions. The humans tensed, preparing for conflict. But before they could respond, the Valkyrie ship moved to intercept the Council vessel. Nexar's voice broadcast on all frequencies. We choose our own friends. Valkyrie do not recognize Council authority in free space. Leave now. To everyone's surprise, the Council ship retreated. They were not expecting resistance, Nexar explained later. Council relies on fear and intimidation. When challenged directly, they often withdraw to reconsider. Word of the confrontation traveled through Valkyrie networks. Within months, representatives from other independent species began to arrive at New Horizon. The hive-minded Tellarites whose collective consciousness made them unwelcome in the Council. The crystalline Morrigan, whose natural form was considered too unsettling for Council. Comfort. The aquatic Nereides, who had been denied membership because their biology was too different for Council standards. Each species had their own reasons for avoiding Council authority. Each found humanity's pragmatic, adaptable approach refreshing. Heather observed to Governor Miller, the Council expelled us thinking we would be isolated and weakened. Instead, they've helped us create a coalition of species who all have reasons to work together against them. 6 months after first contact with the Valkyrie, representatives from 12 non-human species gathered on New Horizon. Together with human leaders, they signed the founding document of what would officially be called the Federation of Allied Worlds. The Council had created exactly what they had feared most, an alliance of species with humanity at its center. 10 years after Earth's expulsion from the Galactic Council, the Federation of Allied Worlds had grown beyond what anyone had imagined. What began as a single human colony on New Horizon had expanded to include 53 star systems and 7 non-human species as full members. Fleet Commander Jason Miller stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, the newest and most powerful ship in the Federation fleet. It was a marvel of combined technology. Human innovation, Valkyrie energy systems, Tellarite sensor arrays, and Morrigan crystal armor. Status report, Jason ordered. He was 42 years old with a strong build and a scar across his left cheek from an early encounter with Council forces. All systems running at full capacity, reported his second-in-command, Julia Reeves. The 4th Expeditionary Force is in formation and ready for patrol. Jason nodded. The 4th Expeditionary Force consisted of 20 ships of various sizes, crewed by mixed species teams. Early in the Federation's history, they had discovered that combining different species on each crew led to unexpected benefits. Each race brought unique biological abilities and perspectives that made the teams remarkably effective. Set course for the border region, Jason ordered. Standard patrol pattern. The border between Federation and Council space had become tense in recent months. Council leadership was increasingly concerned about the rapid growth of the Federation and its successful integration of multiple species. As the fleet moved through space, Jason received an urgent message from Federation Command. Admiral Olivia Bennett's face appeared on his screen. She had been promoted steadily over the past decade and now served as the Federation's highest military officer. "Commander Miller, we have a situation," she said. "Council forces have seized a Federation trade convoy near Sector 87. They're claiming the ships violated territorial restrictions." Jason frowned. "That convoy was well within neutral space according to our agreement." "They've changed their interpretation of the boundaries," Olivia replied. "President Ross has authorized a response. The 4th Expeditionary Force is to secure the release of our ships and establish a clear presence along that border." "Understood, Admiral. We're on our way." Jason turned to his crew. "Change of plans. Maximum speed to Sector 87. When they arrived, they found 3 Federation trade ships held in place by energy tethers. 6 Council vessels surrounded them, including a heavy cruiser commanded by Council Admiral Vexcor, a member of the Duraxian species known for their strict adherence to Council rules. Lieutenant Laura Scott commanded the smaller Federation ship, U.S. Defiant, at the edge of Jason's fleet. At 35, she had earned a reputation for quick thinking and skillful piloting. "Commander Miller," she called over the secure channel, "request permission to take point position. The Defiant's maneuverability gives us an advantage in this situation." Jason considered this. The Defiant was indeed the most agile ship in the fleet, incorporating Neuritis fluid dynamics technology. "Permission granted, Lieutenant." "Approach with caution." Laura guided her ship forward, positioning it between the Council vessels and the captured trade ships. The Council heavy cruiser immediately targeted weapon systems on the Defiant. "Federation vessel," came the voice of Admiral Vexcor. "You are interfering with Council security operations. Withdraw immediately." Laura remained calm. "This is Lieutenant Laura Scott of the Federation ship UES Defiant. You have illegally seized Federation vessels in neutral space. Release them at once." "These ships violated Council territorial claims," Vexcor responded. "They will be confiscated, and the crews detained for questioning." "These are civilian trade vessels operating under Federation protection," Laura countered. "They carry supplies for colonies, not weapons. Your actions violate the neutral zone agreement signed 3 years ago." While this exchange continued, Laura had maneuvered the Defiant into position. She signaled silently to her weapons officer, who targeted precise points on the energy tethers holding the trade ships. "This is your final warning," Vexcor stated. "Withdraw or face consequences." Laura smiled slightly. "I don't take orders from you anymore." In one swift move, the Defiant fired, severing all 3 energy tethers simultaneously. Before the Council ships could respond, Laura engaged her advanced drive system, creating a disruption field that temporarily disabled the weapon systems of the nearest Council vessels. Jason watched with approval as the Defiant executed the maneuver perfectly. He then ordered the rest of the fleet forward. "All ships, defensive formation, protect the trade vessels as they withdraw to our space." 2 Council cruisers moved to intercept, but they quickly found themselves outmatched. The Federation ships were faster, more maneuverable, and equipped with technology the Council had never seen. Within minutes, Laura had disabled the propulsion systems on 3 Council ships without causing casualties. They drifted helplessly as the Federation fleet secured the area. Admiral Vexcor's voice came through again, this time with barely controlled anger. "This act of aggression will be reported to the full Council. You have committed an act of war." Jason took over communications. "This was a rescue operation of civilian vessels illegally seized in neutral space. We used minimal force and caused no casualties. If you wish to discuss revised border agreements, the Federation is always open to diplomatic solutions." The Admiral didn't respond. His cruiser turned and moved away, followed by the Council ships that could still maneuver. They left their disabled vessels behind. "We will not abandon your ships," Jason transmitted to them. "Federation engineering teams will assist with repairs before we depart." This gesture surprised the Council crews.
Their own leadership would have left disabled ships behind rather than risk additional resources. As repair teams helped the stranded Council vessels, Jason received a secure transmission from Admiral Bennett. "Well handled, Commander," she said.
The Council was testing our resolve. They didn't expect such a coordinated response. Or that we would help repair their ships afterward, Jason added. That part was especially good, Olivia agreed. It sends a clear message about who we are. News of the confrontation spread quickly. In an emergency council session, several younger species began questioning the wisdom of antagonizing the Federation. The Arcturian representative, whose people had joined the council only a century ago, asked pointedly, "If they've grown this strong in isolation, what will they become if we force them to mobilize further?" The council leadership had no good answer. Meanwhile, Federation engineers established a permanent defensive line along the contested border. Unlike the aggressive military stance they expected from humans, these defensive platforms were clearly designed to monitor and protect, not to attack. Back on Earth, President Alexander Reed, who had succeeded Diana Ross, addressed the Federation Assembly. Representatives of all member species attended, either in person or via holographic projection. "Today we demonstrated that while we seek peace, we will defend our people," he said. "The Federation stands united. We will not be intimidated by the Council or anyone else." The Assembly erupted in approval. What had begun as humanity's response to rejection had become something much greater. A true alliance of equals that was changing the power structure of the galaxy. On the bridge of the UES Defender, Jason Miller looked out at the stars. "They still don't understand us," he said quietly to Laura Scott, who had been invited aboard after her successful mission. "What don't they understand?" she asked. "That we never wanted to rule the galaxy," Jason replied. "We just wanted to be part of it. Now they've forced us to build something new, something better than what they offered us." Laura nodded. "And they should be worried about that." 20 years after Earth's expulsion from the Galactic Council, the Federation of Allied Worlds had become a power that rivaled the Council itself. With over 100 star systems and 15 different species as full members, the Federation had grown beyond what even its founders had imagined. Admiral Olivia Bennett stood at the large window in her office on New Horizon. At 65, she was the highest-ranking military officer in the Federation. Her hair was completely white now, but her eyes were as sharp as ever. The view from her window showed a city that combined architectural styles from all member species. Tall human buildings stood next to fluid Valkyrie structures and crystal Morrigan towers. In the sky above, ships of various designs moved through carefully organized lanes. "Admiral, you need to see this," said her aide, rushing into the office. Olivia turned as a holographic display activated in the center of the room. It showed a strange energy pattern spreading across a section of space near both Federation and Council territories. "What am I looking at?" she asked. "We're calling it a cosmic anomaly," explained Science Director Ben Harris. His face appeared in a smaller hologram beside the main display. "It's some kind of space-time distortion that's expanding rapidly. Our sensors detected it 6 hours ago." "Is it natural?" Olivia asked. "We don't think so," Ben replied. "The pattern is too regular, too structured. This might be the result of some kind of advanced technology or experiment." Olivia studied the display with concern. "What's the projected path?" "That's why I called you immediately," Ben said. "At its current rate of expansion, it will reach both Federation and Council space within 2 weeks. Any planet caught in this anomaly could face catastrophic consequences."
"Have we contacted the Council about this?" "We tried," Ben said. "They're not responding to our communications." Olivia frowned. Despite 20 years of coexistence, the Council still refused to deal directly with the Federation on most matters.
Their pride had never recovered from seeing so many species leave their control to join the human-led alliance. "Prepare my ship," she decided. "I'll go to the Council border personally." 2 days later, Admiral Bennett's flagship, the UES Unity, approached the edge of Council space. It was the most advanced vessel in the Federation fleet, featuring technologies developed through the combined efforts of all member species. We're being scanned by Council border stations, reported Communications Officer Luis Garcia. Open a channel, Olivia ordered. All frequencies. When the channel opened, she spoke clearly. This is Admiral Olivia Bennett of the Federation of Allied Worlds. I request an emergency meeting with Council leadership regarding the spatial anomaly threatening both our territories. For several minutes, there was no response. Then a familiar face appeared on the screen. High Chancellor Zyrax, the same Council leader who had expelled Earth 20 years ago. He looked older, the gray of his skin now almost white, but his forearms and formal posture were unmistakable. Admiral Bennett, he said stiffly, the Council does not recognize your authority to request meetings. Olivia didn't waste time on diplomatic games. High Chancellor, I'm not here to argue about politics. I'm here because both our peoples face a serious threat. The anomaly will reach your core worlds before it reaches ours. You have more to lose by refusing cooperation. Zyrax paused, then nodded slightly. We are aware of the anomaly. Our scientists have been studying it. As have ours, Olivia replied. I propose a joint operation to address this threat. Federation ships can reach the origin point faster than yours. Council scientists have experience with spatial phenomena that ours lack. Together, we might find a solution. The Council chamber fell silent. Working with humans was still considered almost taboo among the older Council species. But the data on the anomaly was frightening even to them. We will allow a joint scientific team, Zyrax finally said, but under Council supervision. Equal partnership, Olivia countered. Or we'll handle our side of the problem and leave you to deal with yours. Another long pause followed. Then reluctantly Zyrax agreed. Within days, a combined fleet of Federation and Council ships approached the anomaly's origin point. Among them was Dr. Nathan Parker, now almost 80 years old, but still the Federation's leading expert on space-time physics. It's incredible, Nathan said as he studied the readings. The anomaly is creating a cascading effect in the fabric of space itself. If we don't stop it, it could tear apart dozens of star systems. Working alongside Council scientists, many of whom had once refused to even speak with humans, Nathan and his team identified the source, an ancient device on an abandoned world at the edge of known space. It was never meant to be activated, explained the lead Council scientist, a Mendari named Trell. It was created by a species that vanished millions of years ago as a last resort weapon. Someone found it and turned it on, Nathan said. But who and why? Those questions would have to wait. The joint fleet surrounded the planet and specialist teams from both groups landed near the device. Our technologies are compatible, Nathan observed as they worked to interface with the ancient machine.
The Council has stable energy management systems. We have adaptive computer interfaces. Together we can do this. After 3 days of non-stop work, they succeeded. The anomaly began to shrink, eventually collapsing back into itself. As the joint
fleet prepared to return home, Olivia received a message from an unexpected source. 7 Council species were formally requesting admission to the Federation. The Council's monolithic authority was crumbling as more worlds sought the dynamism and equality the Federation offered. A week later, in a ceremony on New Horizon, President Alexander Reed addressed the Federation Assembly on the 20th anniversary of Earth's expulsion. 20 years ago, the Galactic Council cast us out into the darkness, expecting us to wither away, he said. Instead, we built our own stars. The Great Hall was packed with representatives from all member species. In a special section sat observers from various Council worlds considering Federation membership. The galaxy now looks to us not because they fear our strength, but because they admire what we've created. A Federation where differences are celebrated, innovation is rewarded, and every species stands as equals. Near the back of the room, Nathan Parker sat next to Admiral Bennett. Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this? He asked quietly. Never, she admitted. But that's always been humanity's greatest strength. We adapt to whatever challenges we face. We grow stronger from adversity. On the diplomatic platform, a council delegation waited nervously. For the first time in its 10,000-year history, the council had sent official representatives to another power as equals. President Reed concluded his speech. The council meant to write the end of humanity's story. Instead, they only wrote, "Our prologue." Today, as we welcome new friends and even former adversaries to our Federation, we begin the next chapter, not just of human history, but of a shared future for all our peoples among the stars. Nathan smiled as the hall erupted in cheers from a dozen different species. They expelled one species, he said, and created a united galaxy. Olivia nodded. The greatest empire ever built, founded not on conquest, but on cooperation. Above, the planet, ships from 20 different worlds moved in harmony, their lights tracing paths between the stars that once seemed so far beyond humanity's reach.